So good afternoon, everyone. Before I begin, on behalf of Marinus Link, I build upon the acknowledgements to country that have been made today. Marinus Link is committed to partnering with First Nations peoples as we develop our project, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and future of the lands and waterways in which we gather. Now, I'll do my best not to hold you too long from afternoon tea and buy you back a little bit of time. But it is an honour to be speaking with you here today. The energy transition or transformation seemingly perpetuates as both a crisis and an opportunity in equal measure. Contests and creativity around how we develop new energy, how we transport it, how we use it, where and when we need it, and who pays for it. At Marinus Link, we understand that it's crucial to remember who lies at the heart of this conversation. Australians, everyday people, all of us here in this room and everyone outside. It's energy consumers, whether large or small, that drive our sector and make it one of the most important, fundamental and essential services in this nation. When we think about energy, our collective endgame needs to be working out how we get reliable, affordable, clean power to Australians and Australian businesses across the country. The best outcome for Australians across the national electricity market is a network that can move energy from where it's being generated to where the customers use it in the most cost-efficient, safe and sensitive manner. And this is where Marinus Link comes in. Marinus Link, as you heard, is an undersea and underground high-voltage direct current electricity interconnector between Tasmania and mainland Australia that will incorporate also significant additional optic fibre capacity for telecommunications and data exchange. At 1,500 megawatts, Marinus Link will carry about the same amount of energy as that generated by the former Hazelwood Power Station in Victoria, and 3 times the capacity of the existing Tasmania to Victoria interconnector, Basslink. Part of that role is to build on and further unlock Tasmania's extraordinary low-cost wind and hydro resources. The Marinus Link interconnector will deliver that surplus clean energy from Tasmania to here on the mainland to keep emissions down, surplus clean energy, to increase grid stability and supply reliability, and to ensure the lowest cost electricity to consumers. It will have the capacity to transport power for up to 1.5 million homes at any given time. It will unlock further savings of emissions of at least 140 million tonnes of CO2 equivalent by 2050, like taking approximately 1 million petrol or diesel cars off our roads. But it won't be a one-way exporter of Tasmanian energy. Marinus Link is a two-way connection, allowing excess renewable energy generated in Victoria's rapidly expanding renewable energy zones to be transported to Tasmania, where, like a giant water battery, that excess solar and wind energy will be stored and redeployed to mainland Australia on demand, and in some part to be consumed by households and businesses in Tasmania. I want to make one thing very clear. Marinus Link is a national project, a nation-building project. Let there be no doubt the benefits will spread far beyond Tasmania and Victoria once Marinus Link is fully operational. All Australians across the NEM stand to benefit from Marinus Link. This means that from Cairns right down to Hobart, Marinus Link will help deliver low-cost, reliable and clean energy to millions of people. Our current economic modelling, supported by AEMO, suggests that Australian electricity consumers can expect significant energy market benefits of approximately $4 billion above and beyond the cost to build Marinus Link and its supporting transmission. With Marinus Link, we are well on our way through the pre-construction phase, and the sector is taking notice. Marinus Link is listed as an actionable project in AEMO's draft 2022 ISP, and we expect that status to remain in the final ISP, soon to be released at the end of the month. And AEMO does confirm the vital role interconnectors like Marinus Link and access to existing long-duration hydro and pumped hydro storage will play in securing Australia's rapid energy transformation. And I thank Daniel Westerman for his reference in his speech to our project, and also echo the congratulations to Daniel and his team at AEMO for the work that they do. If I may, there are a few points I am making here, and I ask for you to take away from this speech today, and I have stuck to 3 points. 1, we're all talking about and experiencing rising costs of living, but there is a great opportunity to put downward pressure on electricity prices. 2, more and more in the energy sector, we are seeing the growing need and value of interconnection and dispatchable hydropower. And 3, we face significant global headwinds and supply chain issues that heralds, like a clarion call, the need for national government game-changing commitments. Let's quickly tackle the first point. For all Australians, all of us here from Hobart to Cairns, cost of living pressures are becoming more real than ever. Right now, energy costs and our monthly and quarterly bills are creating deep concerns. Vulnerable consumers across Australia are debating whether to turn on their heating during this cold snap to stay warm. For industries and businesses still reliant on gas supply, they are making extremely difficult decisions on whether to pause production or temporarily, and in some cases permanently, close their doors to avoid the exorbitantly high energy prices they cannot predict, future-proof against, or afford. Recent research that we commissioned across a sample of 1,500 people shows that almost 9 in 10 Australians worry about their energy bills to the point that they are avoiding using appliances such as air conditioners and heaters, even during extreme hot and cold days. That's not a choice we want Australians to be forced to make every summer or winter. These findings reinforce the vital role Marinus Link can play in helping ease the pressure of power prices, particularly for low-income and vulnerable Australians across the NEM, so that they can keep their homes comfortable and stay healthy and safe during weather extremes. Marinus Link is one key in providing extra dispatchable, firm and reliable power that will be needed in times of future energy shocks, like the one we're all currently experiencing. That brings me to my second takeaway point, the value of interconnection and access to hydropower. What makes Marinus Link unique is that it expands borders to connect all NEM customers to the security of existing long-duration hydro reserves in Tasmania. If there is one thing we have learned from the current gas price crisis, is that access to affordable, reliable energy supply is not location-based. It doesn't just apply to Victoria or New South Wales, for instance. This is a nationwide issue. There is sometimes the perception that Marinus Link is a Tasmanian project. It is not. It is a national project to help solve national problems in a national grid. To offer access to reliable, clean and affordable power, an interconnected grid that enables our energy mix to flow efficiently to where and when it is needed is absolutely crucial. We know that when the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow, technologies like chemical batteries can only provide security of supply to consumers for short periods. Tasmania's hydro resources provide long-duration reserves. This hydro capacity opportunity isn't just an aspirational resource that will be ready in years to come. It largely exists already in latent, unrealised additional capacity in established and pre-developed assets we have at our fingertips right now It just needs a highway to market. And in a world with Marinus Link, hydro in Tasmania will shift from being mostly a baseload supply for Tasmanians to being a peaking supply available on demand for the nation to underpin new wind and solar generation, helping create a supply profile that is commensurate with demand, a grid stabilising offering. During times like today, when it's cold, cloudy, still, when we can't rely solely on energy from wind or solar or short-duration battery storage, Marinus Link can provide the security of high-capacity wind and hydroelectric energy that is dispatchable and available when and where it is needed. Batteries can supply stored power for up to 4 or even 8 hours at best, where Marinus Link can supply dispatchable capacity for periods of over 20 hours. But to be clear, we're going to need all of these things as they all play their important role. Now to my final part, a national government game-changing commitment to deal with headwinds. Like all major priority infrastructure projects, delivering Marinus Link has never been, nor will be, easy. Like all other energy infrastructure projects, many of which we are learning more about at this conference, we are all facing economic, social and market headwinds. For the long-term success of Australia, we must cooperate in navigating them together. The reason why we must work together as an industry with governments, consumers and the community is because we need to perform not only on the national but the international stage. We need to ensure Australia is at the top of the queue of international supply chains, or else we risk being sidelined and economically disadvantaged in the global scramble to transform energy systems, to decarbonise economies, all the while seeking to strengthen democratic sovereignty. Australia is just one country among a multitude that is competing for the same suppliers, products, materials and expertise needed to accelerate our transition to a renewable energy future. Frankly, we are antipodean on the global stage, and we need to seriously address this market position. Let's look at Europe, as we all have been doing the past 6 months. The European Commission recently determined to switch off from Russian gas by 2030. This means Europe will significantly redirect its priorities, its attention and investments. Something like $350 billion over the next 6 years in new gas, new offshore wind, pumped hydro and undersea interconnectors. Without intervention, this will soak up much of the kit and specialised labour market resources we need here in Australia. The new federal government's Rewiring the Nation policy is a welcome vehicle to drive our transition to a low-emissions economy at a domestic level. But, dare I say, it could be used as a key negotiating lever to place projects like Marinus Link on a global stage to ensure our infrastructure and service needs remain at the front of the global queue for the products and services we need to achieve Australia's energy transition. A national government guarantee in its most helpful form that works best to lock in development and ensure consumers are protected. This is the game-changing commitment our sector needs. So beyond the benefits of Marinus Link, in crucially supporting Australia's energy transition, millions of Australians will be better off with a future grid that includes Marinus Link compared to a future without it. But we are just one piece of the puzzle. Marinus Link is just one of a number of key transmission projects needed to unlock and share renewable generation, storage and dispatchable energy capacity across the NEM to best meet future customers' needs. At Marinus Link, we are confident about the way forward. We know Marinus Link has an important role to play. And so to conclude, I thought Transgrid CEO Brett Redmond put it beautifully in yesterday's Sydney Morning Herald. No, not the T-shirt line. There's no transition without transmission. But he said, we can get there, but we need to get our skates on and get these energy superhighways built. Thank you.
We've got time for one quick question. I'm going to summarise quite a few that came through, and all of them are on basically the same topic. How much is this going to cost? Who is going to pay for it?
Thought that one might be coming. Well, I guess all projects like ours, we go through a really rigorous cost and benefit process. We've passed a regulatory investment test, as I explained, demonstrating a significant value to consumers well above the cost.
What is the cost? The
cost in 2021 dollars was $3.5 billion. We're undergoing our new cost to complete estimate. As I've described, with some of those headwinds, and I think we're not alone, not only in the energy sector, but all major infrastructure projects, we'll see some cost uplift. But I think when we do release those new cost estimates ahead of the release of the ISP, you will see that in the context is only a very modest uplift. And
who should pay for it?
Well, this is why the point I was making, it's a national project. We know a project, even if we use $3.5 billion, that roughly speaking in current market rules would see 50-50 split between Tasmania and Victoria, is just not tenable. I mean, Tasmania is such a low consumer base in terms of numbers and demand. We need an equitable solution that's fair, so a cost allocation arrangement that really does reflect the benefits that do flow from Marinus right throughout the national electricity market. And we are lodging a rule change to the Australian Energy Market Commission that seeks that fair cost allocation outcome, and we're getting a lot of great buy-in on that. So it's a roundabout way to saying we have a series of solutions to those big problems, but they take some time.
What about, one more question just from me, what about external funding sources? Governments are cash strapped. We've just seen the New South Wales government scrap a whole bunch of major infrastructure projects because they're too expensive, they can't afford it. And they're the richest, minus WA, the richest state in the country. Why not look to other sources, or are the margins just not going to be there for them, the returns?
No, look, I think the returns are there. The business case is strong. I mean, the project that we're talking about with Marinus Link has a life of 40 to 50 years, extremely attractive to superannuation funds, etc. That's not our problem. We have no shortage of interest in the private market or the investment market. I guess where we're coming from and why I made the direct point here around rewiring the nation, that is the vehicle, I think, that has a commitment from a new government to invest in a way that really gets particularly the priority projects in the ISP up and locked in, and as I say, on that international stage, so we can not suffer the supply chain risks that we face.
We'll have to leave it there. Ben White, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very much.